employed by oil and gas, and thousands for fish, commercial and recreational. We have ports and maritime. We believe in a balance on our coast. We're not a sunbathing coast. And I am proud of what this industry has done to make the extraction of oil and gas, which is necessary for the world economy and going to grow, not diminish. 6 months, 5 million barrels of oil was spilled in the Gulf. 5 million. Since 1947, there have only been 175,000 barrels. So you can understand the scale of this.
Like our mamas love you and me. "21 dead dolphins, it ought to be a crime when the people in charge make excuses for B time."
As you can see, as I hold in my hand, is a year's worth of medical documentation showing several high levels of chemical poisoning, which 8 out of 13 that I tested positive for are deadly chemicals. 6 times this medical documentation has been faxed to Kenneth Feinberg's office, and they still say that they have nothing. Where are the medical claims that are being filed and the medical proof? Where is it going, and why is it being destroyed and covered up?
Mr. Feinberg.
Former Senator of Louisiana, Dr. Michael Robichaux, a month ago stood there, looked you eye to eye, and told you that medically, if he would stop treating me for a week, I would be dead. And you stood behind a desk and smiled about it. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to trust you? Are you crazy?
Next question, please.
I also mentioned the $4.2 billion that was just allocated for the 9/11 rescue workers, and let you know that we're no different. We are sick, and this is what's happened is we've been poisoned by BP British Petroleum, who you work for, who you are supposed to not work for. I think that alone makes this an anticipatory breach of contract that you have committed against the citizens and the entire Gulf Coast of the lower 5 states of the United States of America. Noble cause here to protect the seafood industry and the tourist industries, but there's no noble cause here to save the sick, the harmed, the handicapped, people who lost their jobs. It seems like you're creating loopholes for BP not to pay the citizens and not to help the citizens. All you really have to do is establish a health care for the citizens first. Get the citizens well. Worry about the money, the settlement money, later, because we're not going to be alive 13 years from now when this claim gets settled after I have to go get a lawyer to fight Mr. Feinberg's process. I will not be alive.
Feinberg has promised to meet with me on behalf of the people of the Gulf Coast. All I asked you to do in my meeting, I followed you in 2 meetings, and you agreed that it would be a wise thing to consider independent testing along with the testing that your client has paid for. That didn't happen. So all your studies are based on the recovery of this Gulf in 2 years. That's not going to happen, my friend. It doesn't even say that in the test that you're quoting. These fishermen have been starved out for 6 months. Once you took off, you took over this deal, you started them out for 6 months, and you come down here and you offer them $5,000 for their life. For their freaking life, dude.
I don't want to be the nation's energy sacrifice zone. None of us want to be the energy nation sacrifice zone. How are they going to stop this?
Here's a story sad and full of gloom about a young Marine prospect by the name of Paul Doom. A dream that ended much too soon. Well, Paul and his friends took a swim in the Gulf Coast. They weren't aware that today BPO would be their host. And Paul's in a wheelchair, and Paul, friend, he's a ghost. Well, Paul Doone's holding on, doing the best he can. He still gets around pretty good for a one-legged man. And Paul thanks his God for his family and his friends. PP man says, you know, he can't be blamed. I mean, to swim in that crap, you'd have to be insane. Besides, you can't prove that was our oil anyway.